Take two. They only mark.
Six or eight.
And don't say.
Coming up on a very special episode of Unwrapped.
You're fired.
A sneak peek behind the scenes of one of the summer's hottest movies, No Reservations. Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart take on the challenging role of top chefs.
And I just didn't want to look like, you know, oh, spot the person who's never been in the kitchen before.
If I'm a chef playing a movie, I have done this literally millions of times throughout my career.
The stars shine a spotlight on the restaurant biz.
He looked like he was straight out of cooking school, but...
Spicoli with a knife.
And the chefs who created that incredible food tell all.
A chef, their food is their personality.
All the secrets of the new movie, No Reservations, coming up. What happens when food chefs and passion meet lights, camera, and action? That's what we're going to find out on this special episode of Unwrapped, as we go behind the scenes of the new movie, No Reservations. Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart star as chefs in the movie, and they told me why that role was such an irresistible challenge. Here's a recipe for a summer hit.
My God, this is so good.
Take one driven and accomplished chef.
This place is my life.
Mix in her orphan niece.
I have no idea what to do with a kid, especially one who's lost her mother.
And fold in a brand new sous chef with a very different style.
I am begging you, will you please tell me the secret of your saffron sauce?
Sparks fly in the kitchen in this summer's tastiest movie treat, starring Catherine Zeta-Jones, Abigail Breslin, and Aaron Eckhart.
Who do you think you are?
Nicholas Palmer.
One would assume that you both get a fair amount of scripts to look at. What was it about this one that made you say, I've got to do this film?
The script was and is absolutely charming. It was a different genre of film than I'd ever done before, much more of a vulnerable character, if you will. And I just love the transition that this woman goes through.
For me, it was a great part. Catherine was attached to it, and I wanted to work with her and to have a romance that revolved around the kitchen and food and passion and all that I thought was exciting.
On screen, Catherine Zeta-Jones plays Kate, one of New York's top chefs, and a woman with clear ideas about how things should be.
140 degrees in the oven, 80 degrees water temperature for 25 minutes, not too long, not too short, with a perfect touch of pink. My character is pretty intense.
Rare enough for you?
And very narrow-minded, for want of a better phrase, in what she does. And am I allowed to say anal retentive on the Food Network?
Sure you can,
okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, there you go, I just did it.
Just wash your hands out.
Aaron's character, happy-go-lucky Nick, brings a totally different style to Kate's kitchen.
So you guys are my shrink section.
It's quite a stretch from their real-life kitchen personas.
I was never a good cook before I started making No Reservation. I hold my hand up, and I'm very honest about that, but I did enjoy the process of being around great chefs, one of being my co-star, who was way too impressive for me. When I first started rehearsal, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy comes with his own bag of knives. Forget it.
Really? Are you good in the kitchen?
You can buy knives at the store.
Yeah, but then can you use them properly? So tell me about your culinary life.
I don't have one, but I thought early on that if you're gonna be a chef, you should learn how to chop.
Especially a sous chef who does predominantly so much in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the head chef does a lot of the dressing and the presentation and, you know, tells people off if it's not right.
So, to make sure Catherine and Aaron were believable...
Look, I can't help it if your reduction's a little thin.
Director Scott Hicks hired one of the food world's heavy hitters to coach them. Michelin star-rated chef Michael White.
You know, when we see something close on screen, that it should be appropriately delicious. Michael White saved us, really, on a daily basis from making errors in how things are done or how they're presented.
How did you get involved with this movie?
They asked if it'd be okay if Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart
could come to the kitchen and kind of observe, and I was like, absolutely.
Yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones? No, not in my kitchen.
I don't want her. But it was really great to work with them. They're super people, and just by observing for a few hours, they started mimicking what we were doing.
There was a lot to learn, both behind the scenes and front of house. And Aaron and Catherine were eager students.
There was a time where she went out into the dining room and served a plate for me. And the gentleman turns to her and says, you know, you look a lot like Catherine Zeta-Jones. And she says, you know what, I get that all the time. So we had a lot of fun at the restaurant.
Up next, a first-hand look at what Chef Michael taught Catherine and Aaron.
I cut my finger and Abigail looked down and all the onions were bloody.
Oh.
And later, Abigail Breslin shares what she learned on the set.
That was kind of hard though, but it was actually, I did it a lot, so it got easier.
Coming up. Welcome back to a special episode of Unwrapped, where we're getting the inside scoop of the new movie, No Reservations. I'm standing in a very cool restaurant, one of the hottest ones in New York City, called The Little Owl, where many of the scenes were shot for the movie. And we're going to say hello to the owner and chef, Joey Campanero. How are you, Joey?
Hi, I'm Mark.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been cooking professionally for about 15 years, and we opened this little restaurant about a year ago, and here we are.
So how did you get involved with No Reservations?
A location scout came in and took pictures and asked if we would participate in filming for a movie. And we were very excited about it and took the opportunity to do that.
And did they turn the place upside down?
Well, they certainly did. They were like, we're going to have to rip this wall down, and we're going to break these windows, and so it was a little nerve-wracking.
And hopefully they put it back the way it was?
The crew was meticulous to detail in putting everything back the way we left it. And I got to meet Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart.
Wow, how was that?
It was very special, very special.
Good experience for you?
Great experience.
Very cool. So while the crew was turning the restaurant into a movie set, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart had a lot to learn. Now, they both say they don't cook in real life, so check out what they did to convincingly play two of New York City's top chefs. In the movie, Chef Kate has everything under control in the kitchen.
This place is my life. This is who I am.
That mastery attracted Oscar winner Catherine Zeta-Jones to the role, and also became her biggest challenge. What was the hardest part for you, Catherine?
It's backstage of a theater in the kitchen, and it's very well choreographed. People have their own chores to do, and they move so fluidly. And I just didn't want to look like, you know, oh, spot the person who's never been in the kitchen before. Just being comfortable in that environment was pretty tough for me.
But director Scott Hicks had a plan for his stars. A crash culinary course with a big name in the restaurant world, Chef Michael White. Michael, were they good students?
They were great students. They really embraced this project.
Aaron Eckhart and Chef Michael joined us at Food Network Kitchens to talk about that rigorous training.
He came in a t-shirt and jeans when he first came to work. And I was like, who is this guy? He looked like he was straight out of cooking school, but...
Spagoli with a knife.
Aaron, who plays the sous chef in the movie, had to learn to look like he'd been working in kitchens for years.
As an actor, I'm not expected to be able to make dishes like him because I haven't put 20 years into it. I haven't spent 7 years in Italy. So I can't be expected to know that.
To prep for this role, Aaron practiced all the subtle little things that make chefs look at home in the kitchen.
For me, it all started with this. Fire, then I'll throw it like that. This was a big clue into a chef and what you do, where you put it, everything's reaction. I've done this. If I'm a chef playing a movie, I have done this literally millions of times throughout my career. You know, for chef. Here you go. Where do I put it? There. I put it actually over here, and I did it with my middle finger. I would just go slide here, put it here. I was interested in how to hold the pan, how do pans feel. It's very hot in this section of the kitchen, so how does that affect my body? What am I doing here with the heat and stuff like this? Am I touching things? How am I touching things? What finger do I touch it with? What do I put in my mouth? Because they all do it.
We don't want something insipid going to the table. It's just part of the gig.
It's less with a spatula or a fork, or you're touching the meat, you're bringing it up, you're looking at it.
I like to say we have asbestos fingertips.
Right, yeah.
Because you don't have much feeling on our fingertips.
Exactly.
Aaron took the work home, too.
I had 2 saute pans in my place in New York, and I would just come home, I would listen to the radio and talk to people on the phone, and I would just be going like this, sauteing. But I had muesli or I had rice in my pan. Yeah, so I would just go like this, and usually it would all end up on the floor, and I would sweep it. The most important thing was the motion with the hand, being able to do this.
And talk.
And talk at the same time. Grab this, take this spoon, see what that, you know, things like this. And that's what, as an actor, you're looking for.
Background?
Action.
Catherine and I would come in the kitchen at the same time, and it was moving in the kitchen with Catherine, because Catherine's a big movie star, and you know, she's a woman. So at first, you don't want to get too close, but that's not how kitchens work.
Right. You know, I thought they were fighting one day.
Yeah.
Crossing the line, sweetheart.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I go, oh my God, they're spiteful already.
Yeah, I remember
but they
that.
were acting, and I was like, wow, isn't that amazing how they can turn it on and turn it off?
Look, your spoon's in my territory.
Besides showing off his acting chops, for Aaron, playing a sous chef also meant mastering the art of the chop.
How big? Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Do you want them julienne, or how?
That's perfect.
See? I find chopping to be very therapeutic, and I continue to chop at home, and I really enjoy that. I did lose a few fingernails in the making of the movie. Were you on set that one day?
That day. Yeah, you bet.
I was supposed to be very charming and effortless, and I cut my finger, and Abigail looked down, and all the onions were bloody, and she freaked out. But we got it done.
And his experience in the kitchen has given Aaron a newfound appreciation for the culinary profession.
I have immense respect for chefs, and I think it's not just cooking in a kitchen. It is creative. You have to use your imagination, tremendous amount of skill and knowledge. You know, bringing things together, following one ingredient after another. It's definitely a lifelong developmental skill.
It's like a doctor where they say they're always practicing.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming up, the movie's youngest star had a lot to learn in the kitchen, too.
Yeah, I never really cooked before, other than like peanut butter and jelly, but it's not really cooking.
The chef who taught Abigail Breslin shares a special recipe from the movie with me next.
You know, prior to the movie, Abigail said she only made peanut butter and jelly. So how did she learn how to cook, and where did the menus come from? We're going to take a quick visit to the French Culinary Institute right here in New York City. Watch.
Nice.
Along with her co-stars, young actress Abigail Breslin had to learn a thing or two about cooking.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun working with them, especially making the pancakes. That was pretty
that
fun.
was good.
Yeah, I never really cooked before, other than like peanut butter and jelly, but it's not really cooking. I learned how to peel asparagus, and I didn't even know that you needed to peel asparagus. I thought you just ate it, but apparently you have to peel asparagus. Like, you know the top where it's kind of like spiky, but not like, yeah. Well, you don't peel from there, you peel at the bottom. That was kind of hard though, but it was actually, I did it a lot, so it got easier.
Abigail may have been the youngest cooking student ever at New York's French Culinary Institute.
Chef Leanne Wong had really nothing to do on camera with the movie, but behind the scenes, you were quite important. You trained Abigail Breslin and you created the menu, correct?
Correct.
Very nice. Now, I don't get to cook too much on Unwrapped. This is, I think, the first time in the history of Food Network and me being on it that I've ever cooked, so I'm going to put on my apron. And what I want to do is recreate, if we can, the pancakes that you taught Abigail to make.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun getting to train Abigail. We're starting with 1.5 cups of flour, a tablespoon of baking powder. We have 3 tablespoons of sugar and a teaspoon of salt, and we just want to sift these together. I have a bowl. I'm going to go with 2 eggs.
One-handed, very cool. Can I try that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not bad, huh?
Not bad, not bad. We got a little shell.
Bobby flayed your heart out, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna go with 1.5 cups of milk, and if you wanna grab a whisk and just whisk that up.
All right.
I'm gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla to that.
Now, when you were trying to teach this to Abigail, what were the problems?
First of all, we had to give her a step stool so she could actually reach the counter and the stove. And then secondly, she had to do things two-handed because she has really small hands. But she was a good sport about it, and I think she really found a love for cooking, which was nice. All right, so now I'm just gonna slowly add my ingredients while you keep whisking. Yep. Your griddle should be hot, but not too hot. Warm enough to melt the butter, but not brown it. I'm just gonna pour 2 pancakes on there for now. We're gonna start with 2, one for me and one for you. Abigail got really excited by when I gave her some fruit and some chocolate chips, and she started, you know, she started studying the pancakes and making happy face pancakes. I think she made a couple of those.
The styles of cooking, one being a classic French, and the other one sort of a Mario Batali Italian type chef. How did that figure in when you were building the menu?
It's interesting because Aaron Eckhart plays Nick, who's got this sort of smash and grab, big Italian, big flavor style of cooking in the kitchen, when Catherine, who plays Kate, hers is more refined. She's very, almost a little OCD about everything in the kitchen.
Italian? You bring a sous chef from an Italian restaurant, and I'm the one in therapy?
Creating the menus for those two and the dishes for those two was really simple because, you know, a chef, their food is their personality, and so to be able to emulate that through the food was great. And eventually, the plot of the story comes down to their passion for food and their passion for each other. So.
And I have a passion to turn these. Is this the right time?
It's looking good, looking good. Just ready? Big flip.
Is that all right?
That's beautiful.
Let me see you do it.
Okay.
You're the pro.
I've got the happy face pancake here.
Very nice.
Okay, Nick and Kate and Zoe.
In the movie, Chef Leanne's pancakes are just one example of the way food helps people create relationships.
Zoe, I am now going to kiss your aunt.
This is so embarrassing.
Up next,
Cognac. White wine. Celery. For me, I think it's a romantic occupation to be a chef.
The thing I got about chefs is that they're rock stars.
the stars of No Reservations will never look at eating out the same way again.
When you're actually eating food, you don't really think like, you know, oh, this must have taken like a long time to make it.
Welcome back to Unwrapped, where we are getting a first-hand look at the making of the new movie, No Reservations. For stars Catherine Zeta-Jones, Aaron Eckhart, and Abigail Breslin, making the film was an experience that changed their appreciation of food forever.
This summer's foodie romance, No Reservations, gave Catherine Zeta-Jones a chance to inhabit the elite world of high-end cuisine as Chef Kate.
For me, I think it's a romantic occupation to be a chef. You know, it's it has a wonderful artistic side, and also, you know, the brilliance of being, you know, mixing ingredients, of trying new things.
Cognac, white wine, celery, leek, shallots, and garlic.
She was a fascinating character to play because it was a great journey, you know, and when love comes into her life, that mixes up the pot again, and then this child comes into her life, that mixes it up, and then what goes on in the kitchen mixes her life up again, so it was a good journey to go on.
The film gave Aaron Eckhart the chance to understand the rising profiles of today's celebrity chefs.
I'm sorry, Paula, you'll have to find some.
The thing I got about chefs is that they're rock stars. They have huge egos, and they consider themselves to be creators and artists, and they regard their food as such, and they want everybody else to regard them in that way.
Maybe your restaurant, Paula, but it's her kitchen. Without her, all this would just be a pile of hot metal and dirty dishes, so she decides.
Did you gain a whole new appreciation for what these folks do?
Absolutely.
For Abigail Breslin, making the movie gave her a special understanding of what really goes on behind the scenes of her favorite restaurants.
When you're actually eating food, you don't really think like, you know, oh, this must have taken like a long time to make it. You just think, oh, this is really good. But when I was in the kitchen, I kind of was like, oh my gosh, it takes so long to make this.
Best part of doing this movie was?
The relationships, having fun.
It was a lot of fun.
A big thank you to Catherine Zeta-Jones, Aaron Eckhart, Abigail Breslin, and everybody we spoke with. I'm Mark Summers. See you next time on Unwrapped, and go see No Reservations.